Private label versus wholesale.
Private label is when you create your own brand. That can mean purchasing a generic product from Alibaba and just slapping your name brand on it, even though that doesn't work very well nowadays on Amazon. Or you could create a new product and disrupt the market, or improve on an existing product.
Wholesale. So in the wholesale model, you're selling brand name products that sellers and consumers already know and trust. You'll be purchasing them at a discounted rate from suppliers and selling them to consumers. So think of it like a Target or Walmart, where you can go to Walmart or Target, you can buy Dove soap, Crest toothpaste, you can buy Native body wash, all of these different brands, but Walmart and Target just provide it to you. So it is really a B2B model from the manufacturer going to the store, and then B2C from the store going to the consumer.
Absolutely. And both models have their pros and cons. So we'll start with wholesale and the pros and cons for wholesale. The first pro for wholesale is low ad spend. You don't have to spend much on ads because you're already selling name brand products, and the customer base Amazon has attracts those customers to that listing. And you could tell which products are bringing in customers and sales by the ranking of the product.
You also have tools such as the Keep It chart, which gives you a sale history of the chart, showing you not only how many units it can sell a month, but also the price history, leading you to a safer route to profitability.
And it's a quicker road to profitability for new sellers or inexperienced sellers, since you have all the data at the tip of your fingers, like how much sales a listing makes, how many sellers are on a listing. You could easily calculate how much profit you're making with tools like ASIN or Amazon Seller Calculator, but it's way better and easier to get into for a new seller.
And at the end of the day, you're selling products and brands that the consumer is trusting, looking for, and you also benefit from the brand owner is doing all of the advertising costs for you, all of the brand growth for you, and you're just benefiting off something that they're building.
So those are the cons for wholesale, and it's a model that we do. For some of the pros for wholesale.
That's what we're cheaper.
Some of the cons are for wholesale is low profit margin. You're not gonna get the profit margin you'll get with private label because you're going through a middleman, right? You're going through a supplier where they're getting it from the brand. So some of the margins get eaten up in that transaction with the supplier.
There's a lot of competition from sellers. You can have a lot of sellers jump on a listing, and then a lot of times, especially with new sellers, what you see is they just really want to get a sale. So a lot of times they'll take the price, reducing profit for everyone else selling on that ASIN or that listing. But oftentimes what you see is those new sellers don't last very long in the market. So even though it's a con, it isn't something that you're always gonna have to deal with.
Another con is you don't have ownership of the asset. It's a name brand product. It sells very well. It was probably selling well prior to even coming on Amazon. So you can't exit with that brand because you don't own the brand.
Those exits, like selling the business, getting out of business, is a little more complicated just due to you not owning the asset. One of the things we want to mention is definitely because in the wholesale model, what you see is a lot of times you have a higher number of different products, which can definitely lead to more complex internal systems than what you see on the private label end. Let's just say a private label company might have 5 to 10 products under that brand, but the example would be our business. We have 2,600, more than 2,600 ASINs in our catalog, so that you can definitely lead to some variations in terms of prepping, packing, prepping, or just internal systems, getting those products ready to go to Amazon.
And those are some of the pros and cons to wholesale. The major pros and cons, there's a lot more, but we just wanted to highlight the major ones for you to give you a quick overview of wholesale and private label. So let's get into private label and some of the pros and cons for that. Some of the cons for private label are that Amazon or other sellers can take your product idea and sell it themselves, or you have sellers who do black hat tactics or will go on your listing and leave a bad review, even though it's your product works fine and it's perfect.
Another thing is this an unproven model. This is a new brand and product you're going to be launching, so you don't really have the history to know that people have interest in this product or that they even want to purchase this product from you.
Absolutely, there's no predictability. With wholesale, you could forecast how many sales per month a product's gonna sell. Also, higher upfront costs are associated with private label. You have to pay for the manufacturing. You have to pay for the shipping. You'll be down 20 to 30,000 before you even list the product on Amazon. So just worry about that before you make a decision.
One other thing is that, especially if you're a smaller seller, let's say you're an individual or you and a few partners, there's a lot of competition from bigger players in the private label market, meaning that they can put a lot more money into advertising costs. They can operate at a loss for a longer period of time than you might want to. So being aware of how that competition works and being aware of what markets you're getting into and the advertising costs for that will definitely help you if you choose to go this route.
Absolutely, and you do need a high pain tolerance when it comes to private label, because there could be weeks or months your product isn't selling and you still need that confidence and that grit to move forward. But there are a lot of pros associated with private label as well, with higher margins than wholesale. A lot of the private label sellers, they'll manufacture their item in China or India, or they'll get it for a competitive price because of volume and the country that they're manufacturing the item, and they could sell it at a higher price as well. They're not competing with sellers on the listing, just like wholesale. We're competing with multiple sellers, so you don't have a set price you're selling it at. It's a range between your min and max that you set on your repricer. So with private label, there's higher margins associated with it.
Another thing is definitely you own that brand, you own the asset. That leaves you a lot of versatility in terms of how you want to operate the business. You can exit. So private label businesses, they have an easier exit to actually sell the company if they choose to. Whereas in wholesale, that is a much more difficult process just through the ownership of the asset.
Absolutely. As we've seen in 2022 and 2023, there's plenty of sellers exited for millions, I mean millions of dollars to aggregators. That's one benefit of having a private label company. Another benefit is if your business is doing well on Amazon, you could take that data to brick and mortar stores like Walmart and Target and present that data to them and pitch to them, hey, look at the data, this is how many units we're selling on Amazon. A lot of sales are coming from this area that you're located in, and you could pitch to them and you could get your product into Walmart or Target.
And even on Amazon, one of the big issues that anyone who operates a wholesale business would know is you receive a lot of IP complaints, which is infringement complaints from pretty much the brand or manufacturer to other third-party sellers like ourselves saying, maybe the item is counterfeit, or a whole array of things that they can say that you need to now defend yourself to Amazon against. When you have a private label business, you own that, you don't have to deal with that. You have the trademark, you have the right to sell that product, so you won't have to run into people filing those complaints against you.
And don't forget to do your due diligence before you create a product. If you're creating a new product or if you're improving on a new product, for any patents, right? Because that could come back and really bite you. So do your due diligence before you have an engineer or designer create a new product for you. But those are some of the pros and cons for wholesale and private label. The reason, here are some reasons why we ourselves chose wholesale. Obviously, there's a low barrier of entry to get in and to get started and low upfront costs. So that was very, very appealing to us since we didn't have that much money to start off with.
When we first joined, we did try private label, we did try wholesale, we tried everything at one time, but we saw the most success in wholesale. That can be attributed to maybe us just being newer sellers when we started in 2020, or us not having the capital to deal with the advertising costs, or just not having the knowledge base to grow that side of business. So there's no knock against private label at all. It's just a route that we chose. And especially during that time, I'm sure everyone can remember who was even studying or looking into getting into e-commerce. It was a whole host of people jumping into e-commerce, spending $5,000 to $10,000 on a course, and then getting wrapped up into private label, putting all of these large orders from factories in China, putting all these ad costs, and really losing their money just because they didn't have the knowledge base to grow that business.
Then they'll be stuck with the inventory and they have no way to move that inventory, because unlike wholesale, you're not selling name brand products. No one's aware of this product that you just created. Even with wholesale, if the products don't sell on Amazon or for some reason it gets taken off, you have other avenues and platforms to move those products because they're name brand and people know them and use them every single day.
Can't tell you how many times, I think it was even recently, we had a pretty large order, I believe it was about 70,000, and Amazon changed some rules and regulations and we had to offload it on different channels. But like Tay said, you have Walmart, you have eBay, you have the option of opening your own Shopify store where you can sell these products. And you have other Amazon markets outside of the US that have different regulations, namely like Canada, Mexico, the UK, where if you ever get stuck in a product on Amazon US, you do have many options to get out of it in the wholesale model.
Absolutely. So just to wrap it up, we wouldn't say one model is better than the other. They're both hard, they're both labor intensive, and they both take time and energy. You just have to choose what's right for you at the moment.
Yeah, but if you have any questions whatsoever about how to get started in a wholesale business, or even if you want us to go more in depth of our experience in private label and how that worked out for us, we can definitely provide that information with you guys. But currently speaking, our business model is primarily wholesale. We do something called brand management, where we will help brands that want to kind of increase or improve their e-commerce footprint on the Amazon marketplace or Walmart marketplace. What that looks like is they still own the brand, but we help them build out stuff like their storefront, use these different techniques to take other sellers off their listing and kind of just help them better their e-commerce experience for their consumer.
Absolutely. And before we leave you guys, just one takeaway is don't try to do both simultaneously. Choose one model and go all in, because once you're doing two things simultaneously, you're going to water down your effort and your focus, and you'll fail at both models.
Yeah, definitely focus. Whichever one you choose, just make sure that is the one you choose to start off. And one thing we learned was just due to wasting time, effort, and money, was just focus on one, put 100% behind that. And then when you get a better understanding of the marketplace, a better grasp of your business, your operations are set in place, then maybe if you want to venture off into the other model, you're more than willing to. But yeah, if anyone has any questions whatsoever about wholesale, private label, our business, anything we could do to help, just leave us a comment, subscribe, because we're going to drop in a lot of these videos just letting you know our experience for the past 3.5 years.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.